Alrighty, this next problem is a little bit more difficult, but just remember that we are still using our pathway. So we're going to be starting with, or if we have raw data, we can then go to Z, then we can then go to probability or area. And we can also go backwards, which is actually the way we're doing it on these problems right now. So here's our problem. It says it's known that a length of a certain steel rod is normally distributed, mean of 100, standard deviation of 0.45. It says suppose the manufacturer wants to accept 90% of all the rods manufactured. Determine the lengths of rod that make up the middle 90%. Okay, so what they're starting us with is they're starting us with a percentage or a probability, which means we're going to have to go back up through this chart. So let's start getting our picture ready. This is the middle. This is 1 standard deviation, approximately 2 standard deviations. Same thing on the other side. Okay, I'm going to start with my Z data. This is 0, 1, and 2. This is -1, -2. Okay, then I also have my raw data. It says that the mean is 100, so that goes in the middle. And the standard deviation is 0.45, so that means this one's going to be 100.45. The next one's going to be 100.90. And then if you go backwards on the other side, you're going to get 99.55. And then the next one is going to be what? 99.1. Okay, so there's my raw data. And so now what I have to do is I have to put the percentages, because that's what they've given us. So if they want the middle 90%, then we have to, it's not going to go all the way to the edge, so we got to do some tricky stuff. Okay, so, and remember, when you go backwards from percentages, sometimes you don't get this little line in the correct spot because we're just sort of guessing. Is it going to be above 2? Is it going to be in between 1 and 2? I'm not really sure. So you might want to do this in pencil. And I'm just guessing that this looks about 90%. So what that also means is if you're doing the middle, in order to read the Z chart, you need the other parts to it. So if you're doing the middle 90%, how much do you have left is 10%. But you got 2 little tails that you need to share it in. So that means this side and this side are both going to be 5%. So 0.05 and 0.05. Okay, so do you get that? That all adds up to 1. The middle is 90%, which means I have 10% left over, which means I have to split that in half and share it in between the 2 tails. Okay, so now we can figure out these Z scores, because remember, if you start with a percentage, then you can get to the Z score looking at your chart. Okay, so remember, and I'm going to start down here at this one, and then I'm going to do this one as well. So remember, our Z chart reads to the left. So if I'm looking for this boundary line, if I'm looking for this Z score that makes this boundary line, then I really need to look up, I need to find 0.05 in my chart, inside my chart. Because what this is doing is it's cutting off, this little boundary is cutting off 5.05 to the left, and that is how our chart reads. So that's why we need all those percentages up there. So let's look inside of our chart and get as close to 0.05 as possible. And it's going to be somewhere up at the top. I got negative, this is also, if you look at this, it's exactly perfectly in between 2 things. So, and this is the way I kind of like to show it. If we're looking for 0.050, which is the same thing as 0.05, Well, then there is one that is 0.05, I lost it again, 0.0505, and there's also one that's 0.05, I lost it again, 0.0495. Okay, so if you make all these the same size, you can sort of see this is 500 is what we're looking for in the middle. Well, 505 and 495 are exactly the same distance away. So what is the z-score that corresponds to this one is negative 1.6. Good Lord, I can't find it again. There it is. 1.64. Oh, shoot. This one is negative 1.65. And if you stick little zeros on here, it's a little bit easier to see what the middle z-score is going to be. Negative 1.645, because that's in between 40 and 50. So if your probability is exactly in the middle of 2, because remember, usually if it's closer to 1, then we take that one. But if it is exactly in the middle like this one was, you have to take exactly in the middle with your z-scores as well. So in between 1.640 and 1.650 is going to be 1.645. And so that's where we got that, and you have to use that or it's going to count you wrong on MyLabs. So this z-score that we just found over here is negative 1.645, and now we can actually tell if we drew our line in the correct spot, and we did, because negative 1.645 should fall in between negative 2 and negative 1. Okay, here is the beautiful, okay, well, I won't tell you the beautiful thing yet, but I will, you'll see it when we do this problem. Okay, so now we have to go over here and find this boundary line, this z-score as well. Okay, and so how much is this boundary line cutting off to the left? Because remember, the z-score reads, the z-chart reads all the way to the left. So how much is this cutting off to the left? Is not only 90, but also 5%. So it's going to be 95%. So if you look on your chart and try to find 95%, well, just go ahead and look. But I can tell you what it's already going to be. It's going to be positive 1.645. It's going to fall right in the middle, just like it did on that other side. And you really didn't have to find this one, because once you find that side and it's cutting off 5%, this one is, this whole thing is symmetrical. So this is also, so if this one's negative 1.645, this one over here is going to be positive 1.645, because they are the same distance from the edge of your graph or your picture. So we didn't really need to look that one up. Once you find one and it's symmetrical, you can find the other one. Okay, so our z-scores are negative 1.645 on the left side and positive 1.645 on the right side. So now go back up here and look at our pathway. We're kind of hanging here in limbo land. So we need to change our z-score into raw, which we did on the last problem. So using our formula, equals test minus the mean divided by standard deviation. Okay, we know our z-score, it's negative 1.645 equals, we're looking for that raw test score that corresponds to that z-score. We're looking for that right there. So we're going to keep that as test, minusing, what's the mean, 100 divided by 0.45. Okay, and so cross multiply on this. When you cross multiply, you're going to get, and I'll just write that down. Whoops. I'll just write that down. Negative 1.645 times 0.45 is what I'm doing over there, equals test thing I'm looking for minus 100. Okay, and when you multiply that over there, you're going to get negative 0.74. Oh, good Lord, my phone going crazy. You're going to get negative 0.74 equals test minus 100. And then all you have to do is add 100 to both sides and scoot down a bit. That's going to give me test equals, I got 99.26 when you add negative 0.74 and a positive 100. Okay, let's do the other side. It's going to be similar, but this is going to be a positive, so it's going to be a different answer. So there's my, I'm not going to write that again. My z-score, there's the formula right there. So my z-score is positive 1.645 equals, I'm looking for that test boundary, minusing the mean, which is 100, divided by 0.45, which is standard deviation. We're going to cross multiply again. We're going to get the exact same numeral. It's just going to, when we do this cross right here, it's just going to be positive, so I'm going to just write positive 0.74. Skip a little step there. And then if you cross the other way, you're just going to get test minus 100. And then when we add 100, we're going to get, what, 100.74 equals that right side boundary. And so here's our two answers. And so let's go back up and see what that means. It means that 90% of all the steel rods, the middle 90% is going to be between 99.26 centimeters and 100.74 centimeters. So if he had to, if he could only use these, the 90% in the middle, these are the ones that he would be looking for, the rods between 99.26 and 100.74. Okay, and so that's it. Just really rely on this pathway right here. If they start you with probability, you got to go up to get raw data. If they start you with raw data, you got to go down the pathway to get your percentage. All right, see ya. Bye.